We'll start talking about the game. Right, let's go. Good morning, and I've just. By the way, that intro is shit. You're just about to hear us. We're discussing currently when we record this. The Man City versus PSG game is on behind me, literally in front of me here, and Niall's got it down there as well. So hello. Normally there's a countdown when it tells me, but obviously I've got to get used to it not doing it. But welcome to another episode of the F1 podcast. It has been a very interesting week since the last time we come to you. We had the Portuguese Grand Prix. Wasn't as entertaining as we all predicted it to be, but there was some definite talking points that we will be talking through. There was a massive talking point in qualifying that we need to get to. The highs and the lows and the happiness and the sadness that's come through us. And we will be doing our predictions as well coming up for this weekend's Spanish Grand Prix as well. And we have a new way that you guys can vote for certain things that we're going to be doing on a different platform. But we will get to that a little bit later on when it gets to it. So don't forget, down below in the description is a link to all of our social media pages and a link to everyone that comes on this podcast that is a regular. They are all in the link down below. So go click on them, give them a follow, go give them a support. We have a surprise down below as well in the description, but that's for you guys to go and check that out as well. There is a link to all of our social media pages and all the places that we do a podcast for you. So go and check that out as well. And let's get it. As you can be aware, there is no Connor. He isn't being deducted points because he hasn't turned up. He has told me in advance, due to GCSEs and exams that are coming up, he's had to take some time away to go and concentrate on that, which is completely understandable. He wants to get the best grade, as you know from if you listen to this way back. He's looking to go in the army starting September, so he's trying to get the best grade he possibly can for when he goes there. So the best of luck to him. If you're listening to this or watching this, you did message me saying I want my points back. No, I'm still an ass, but the points have got interesting. That's all I'm going to say now. Right. Niall, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, not too bad.
Good.
Good
Good week?
good weekend. Enjoyed the race, and then we're straight into another race. It's quite nice having back-to-back races. There seems to have been some big gaps at the start of the season, so it's nice that they're getting back to a bit more regular.
Before we get into F1 content, as you may be aware, if you guys follow us on Twitter or Instagram, you know that me and Niall are quite big fans of Line of Duty, right? If you haven't watched the finale of Line of Duty, one, how have you not been spoiled yet by all the spoilers over Twitter or Instagram? If you haven't, just pause the video, right? Don't watch it. Go and watch the finale, then come back. I'm giving you time here. I'm gonna be quiet for 3 seconds, and you have to be gone. Right. What did you make of that ending?
I didn't. I think I expected it to be a bit more shoot 'em up type, catching people and bombing around. So I don't think it was necessarily in the heat of the moment of watching it. I thought it was a bad ending because you're just expecting like loads and loads of action and all of this, that, and the other, people falling out of vans and what have you. But I think it was a bit. I think they made it very topical in it being about, actually, it was a bit more political, wasn't it? And it wasn't that it's just a criminal group, it's that actually it's more than that, and it's more the police force. So I think I get what they were doing with it. I just don't think that was what people expected, and therefore the initial reaction was pretty negative. Whereas on reflection, I still would have preferred it to be different, but I get why they did what they did.
Yeah, I was very much.
I don't agree. He's not the top guy, is he?
No, I can't see it be. See, when I was watching it, I went no, because when I was reading the text at the end, he smirked at the end, and that to me goes that he hasn't got away with it.
He's still got contacts in prison, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got away with certain things that people don't know about, but it's not just him. And I get the ending, what they've done, because he's been in it from the beginning. And I understand that they've done that for that. And I think it's very clever, because I was not expecting him to be any sort of the conversation going into it. So I get that part. It was just a bit timid.
It's just a bit flat, but I think that was because it's such an action show. You expect it to be a bit more, but we'll see if they do another one.
But they got that new submarine advertised one that they got. That looks really good. So
that does look good.
I will be watching that. All right, let's get into Formula One. Enough about Line of Duty. Go check it out. And if you haven't got Netflix, why not? Go on Netflix. They have all BBC iPlayer. They have. This is not an ad, by the way. Wish it was. You can watch it from series 1 to today, all back to back. All of it, no adverts, anything like that. Go and watch it. Go and catch up if you haven't gone and watched it. Bit like Game of Thrones. If you haven't seen Game of Thrones already, come on. So, Formula One. Let's get to qualifying. Some shocking performances from certain people, and some surprising performances from a couple of people. One in particular shocked the hell out of me. So let's get into it. What did you think of qualifying? What was your high and what was your lows of qualifying for the Portuguese Grand Prix?
Well, the low of it was, as I said in an earlier podcast, I relate to him because we both have massive teeth. And that was that Riccardo was like out in Q1.
You nearly made me spray my drink everywhere there. Jesus.
And that was Riccardo's performance. And I think that probably links nicely to the sort of high of Norris again. Sort of he's in Q, well, it must have been Q1, wasn't it? That he got, I think he was second fastest and Riccardo was, knocked out. It's very difficult, isn't it, in a garage to go, you've got the same equipment. Why you I think it was a second and a half slower.
Yeah, I'm just double checking now just to make sure.
In that, I'm sure it was something like that. So that was probably, well, jointly high and low. I think it was good to see Russell get through again. Vettel as well had a bit of a bad one, didn't he?
It was basically a second behind Norris.
Yeah. So. And Vettel didn't seem to really hook up at all in qualifying either. I think it was Vettel, if I remember.
No, Stroll.
Who am I thinking of? Stroll, that's it. Yeah. One of them was back there, wasn't it?
Vettel.
Vettel actually came together a bit. Yeah, it was the other way around. Yeah.
Surprised because that was one of my highs. One of my lows I've written down here was Riccardo, who finished 16th, which was just about 1 second slower. And in Formula One terms, that's like a year.
It's an eternity.
But behind Norris. Russell was another surprise who got Q2 and got 11th.
That's a great result for them. That is a brilliant result. And I'm sure we'll come on to Bottas and the rumours that are going around at the moment about him. But that sort of performance makes you think that could happen.
And Vettel finished 10th in qualifying, where Stroll finished 17th.
That was it, yeah.
Going into it. Qualifying predictions. We're going to do something a little bit different on the podcast now. I've decided that we're going to do the predictions through it. All the way through it, and then we'll tally up at the end and then do that. I think it looks a bit different, sounds a bit different, and also at the same time, it's easy for me to sort of do as well. So, qualifying.
There's a penalty to PSG.
Oh, it is as well. Qualifying.
I think it's going to get over. VAR. Yeah.
Qualifying predictions. Niall went for first Verstappen, second Hamilton, third Bottas. Connor got Hamilton, Verstappen, Norris. I went for Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez. The actual qualifying. How did this happen? Bottas was first.
Not even. I mean, I was confident of Bottas, but I wasn't that confident.
I'll tell you what, this is a little insight to people listening or watching. We DM'd during the race weekend, and we were talking on a group chat that we have between me, us three, us two, and Connor as well. And I tweeted going, the fuck is happening to Bottas? I tested him, going, what's going on? Hamilton was first. No, Bottas was first, sorry. Hamilton was second. Verstappen was third and Perez was fourth. Sainz, who did great qualifying, in fifth. Ocon did excellent in 6th. It's really coming into that Alpine car, I tell you. It's doing excellent. Norris 7th, Leclerc 8th, Gasly 9th, and Vettel 10th. A quick little stat. In P3, Gasly was out of the top 10 in P3 for the first time all season. Any time that he's done any practice, his car has always been in the top 10. Consistency, he's becoming. I think that was one of his downfalls, wasn't it? I think if we remember especially back to the Netflix documentary, Drive to Survive, the one thing that let Gasly down was 1, consistency, and 2, pace.
It was one. He was just erratic, wasn't he? He just needed to curb it a little bit.
Before we get into the race, let's get on to that hot topic at this precise moment. There is reports that Toto Wolff is unhappy with Bottas, especially with the performance that he did in the race on the weekend, and his consistency that is happening this weekend. It's being reported that it could be by the end of the season or before the end of the season, at some point, Russell will swap with Bottas's seat, or Bottas will be demoted to reserve driver, or I saw someone else talk about he could go to Aston Martin instead of Vettel at one stage as well. What are you making of these reports? Do you think that this is true? Do you think that this is just people trying to get Russell into the main seat, or do you think that this is legitimate, that Mercedes are unhappy with it?
Yeah, I think Russell's name is on that seat for certain at some point in the future, probably next season. I think with this season, what it does show though is that Mercedes are worried about Red Bull probably more than they let on, because Bottas is still getting podiums, and I know he had an accident in Imola and what have you, but he's still getting up there. He was on pole on Saturday, so he can find pace in the car. But I think there's a few things. They're either getting ready to plan for life without Hamilton, because as much as they want Bottas to step up, 1-0 to City, as much as they want Bottas to step up.
You're so far in front. You're so far in front. Oh, carry on. Yeah, carry
on. I don't really know if they want someone to challenge Hamilton at this moment in time. Do you know what I mean? Like if they had Verstappen there, do you think it makes it uncomfortable, doesn't it?
Yeah, when I was
Hamilton, but they don't want to rock it. I think I can see him going. I could see them swapping him before the end of the season, because if Hamilton and Verstappen run off with the title and are finishing first and second every week, and Bottas might get third, but quite easily could finish. What was he? I suppose he had a pit stop, wasn't he? He was only about 5 or 6 seconds in front of Perez. But
he tried to set that fastest lap, didn't he? Yeah. Of the race.
But I think ultimately that will happen. I can see it. So long way about getting there, but I do think that could happen before the end of the season.
See, I was listening to David Crofty and Paul di Resta, who, by the way, can we please just can we not take him to any races anymore, Paul di Resta? He pisses me off every time he talks, and I think maybe he just his voice. But he pisses me off he just talks utter nonsense. Anyway, but I was listening to them, and basically what I could get the gist of what they were both trying to say was, will Mercedes risk upsetting Lewis Hamilton by taking Bottas out, because we know how close them two are with what they've done? And look, will it come down to Constructors Championship, how they've won 7 in a row, with it all comes down to, will Toto, what is it? Do they want to do it to upset Bottas and just go, look, Hamilton's winning, and we'll talk about the race, and you can really tell with this race the mentality of drivers going into it. And one of the things that I found was when I watch Russell drive, when he's got a car that's got speed, he uses it. And he puts that to the limit. When I watch Bottas, I go, come on, you've got more there.
I know, I mean, God forbid us to tell someone how to drive a Formula One car, but
I don't even have a license, but you know what I mean?
Don't need a license, mate. Just make it up.
I just nick my mum's car and go, brum, brum, I'm in my mum's car.
When was it the Sakir Grand Prix or the Bahrain, whichever one where it was the oval, essentially the oval? And
that was the bar, wherever one. It was the same track, but it was when they were both in the same car. Yeah.
You remember Russell went round the outside of Bottas into one of the last chicanes, sort of before you come around.
Really
where
easy.
you're saying, I remember they had the camera on the nose, and that bit of track wasn't exactly that smooth. You can see he's almost like on the ragged edge. The car's bumping along as he's going over it, but you just don't really get that from Bottas, or you do, but it's like once every now and then.
He's not consistent. I don't think he's not the consistent driver that. Look, we're talking about Max Verstappen, who's 23, 24, maybe round about that, and we've got Bottas, who's in the same car as Lewis Hamilton, that should have the same pace, probably does have the same pace, should be challenging Lewis Hamilton to the wire every single year for that championship. And he's not even in the discussion. It's Max or Lewis. If that was me, I'd be pissed. I'd be angry. And you look what happens when Lewis Hamilton's pissed or angry. He goes and wins a race and does it by a landslide. Let's be fair. And he just sort of just turns up and goes, all right.
So that's what I mean. In moments of it, you can see he gets focused. You just want to grab him a bit, don't you? But do you think that Max would beat Lewis in the same car over the course of a season? Do you think he could win the championship?
I honestly, and this is me trying not to be a Lewis Hamilton fanboy, because I love Lewis Hamilton. I have not made this a secret on this podcast. I think he's one of the greatest drivers that's ever driven, in my humble opinion. But if I take that hat off and I try and look at it in that, there's a different mentality in Lewis Hamilton than there is Max. And I think no matter the car, if it was the same or not, Lewis would still be winning by it. I still think by more than what he does. And he seems look what we've seen this year. After the first 2 races, he's got 3 races. He's got more competition now than he's had in a few years, probably since Nico Rosberg, shall we say, since that challenge. And he's taken everyone out of the water by far. And that's what I say. I think it wouldn't matter what. I think if they were both in BMXs, I think Lewis would still win. Do you know what I mean? There just seems to be maybe pace is there, but I think more mentality and more focused and understanding of things. But Max will get there. It comes with time and going through these experiences to get to where he's got to get to. He can't be rushed. And I think, do you know what I mean? It's a bit like, and I'm going to take my Formula One hat off and put football in term in, and for more people that might understand, is if I take my Formula One hat off and look at it, if you're a fan of Reading and you watch this podcast, okay, then you would liken it to the way that our manager this season, Paunovic, has done with Elise. You get him into games, take them out. You slowly get them to understand situations, and you don't want to rush them into a situation where you go, right, this is your last chance to do it. This is the way to do it. And I don't want Max to go, I didn't win it this year. I don't want to be in a Red Bull. I'm going to go and get in that Mercedes when Lewis leaves. He needs to sort of just go through it. Vettel got there at one point. I think Maxwell, just all about his mentality. And I think that thing after qualifying, he showed emotion, and that's good. We want to see drivers show emotion. If they don't show emotion, it means they don't care, right? Yeah. But it also means that Lewis is getting to him. And that's the one thing he needs to learn not to, because Lewis is very good at my games on the track to get ahead. So I think that's the one thing he's got to do. But let's get into the race. Kimi Räikkönen. What was he doing? After lap 1, he just sort of just went, into the back and went, all right, go for a beer now.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. Again, not that we can discuss how people can drive Formula One cars, but I think most people watching that would have thought you're going to crash if you don't do something. Like, you
Yeah.
can't. You've got to sort of move out the way a little bit. But he just nonplussed about it, wasn't he?
It's sort of the way he went into the back of the way he went into the back of him. He just went, why? I watched it and went, what? What is going on?
Odd crash, but I think that's Raikkonen, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that was the only one who didn't finish. I think. Other than
He
that,
was.
everyone else finished.
Yeah, everyone else finished. Let's talk about the restart from the safety car.
Yeah.
Normally from a restart safety car, a restart from a safety car, if I can get my words out. The person that's first, if a teammate's behind, they normally help. In Bottas's case, he decided not to do that and fuck up Lewis and make Verstappen overtake him.
Well, where we're saying you want Bottas to have a bit of fight, that is exactly it. He's thought I can do it. The thing is, this sums up Bottas. I think I think if you look over those 5 laps, that sums him up. He has got a little bit of flash of like, I can be a bastard and I can stuff up my teammate. I want to win the race, but then actually 3 or 4 laps later, he can't keep up with the pace and gets overtaken anyway. I liked that he did that, and I think it shows that he wants to win and win at any cost. But he just hasn't got it. And not going back into it again, but too much. But when we're saying around what will happen, the fact Toto got on the radio to him during the race and was like, "Come on, you're the quickest car out there." You never hear him on the radio.
He did that. He did that in Imola as well.
Yeah,
he also did that in Imola as well, and that also grows to my understanding of the frustration that there is going in Mercedes.
Using football analogies and that, but in your office and at work, you've got your boss, you've got your colleagues, and then you've got like your top boss.
Mm-hmm.
And your top boss, if they just call you out of the blue, invariably something's gone wrong, and it's not a very good conversation.
Normally, your top boss never talks to you unless you've done something really bad, and the top boss had to get involved, and that's one of the things that. But then, if you look at it as well, on lap 11, Lewis Hamilton, with ease, I would say, overtakes Max with real ease. I thought it would have been a lot more of a 2 or 3 lap battle, overtake, undertake, go keep backwards and forwards. So no, just overtook him and just gone.
Saw Lando. One of them said after the race that they just don't want to race at Portugal ever again. They hope they don't go back there. I think it might have been Max actually doesn't like the track, but he did sort of just sweep past him, and that was the race, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you knew that Hamilton would beat Bottas. You just know that he's gonna finish in front of him. So as soon as he got past Max, that was the race.
Exactly. And one of the things that I found quite telling was 9 laps later, Hamilton on lap 20 overtook Bottas to go first. And it was basically nearly the same overtake he did on Max, just the 9 laps before that.
But Bottas cocked himself up because he went to defend.
Yeah.
And then instead of being able to take that first corner at the right angle, he had to slow down a lot more and almost take it as almost like a hairpin trying to go through it. So I don't know. I'd love to be a fly on the wall. And when you're saying Hamilton might be sad if Bottas goes, part of me thinks that I know Hamilton does love a challenge, but maybe he prefers a challenge from outside the team, and he wouldn't want Bottas to go because he doesn't want to lose his best mechanics and all of that.
Be interesting. Be interesting to see.
Isn't that what happened with Rosberg? When Rosberg won, didn't he get Hamilton's mechanics and Hamilton's team for a while? I'm sure.
No, Rosberg. As soon as Rosberg won, he retired.
Yeah, sorry, but during the season, I think they swapped the mechanics over. I think as soon as it became quite clear that Rosberg was doing well, I think he then got.
Might have been. I think whoever's leading always gets the favourable factor, don't they? They always get. Yeah. They're meant to get preferable treatment apparently if you're leading. So I get that. I get that, but.
Also, can I just minor setting the record straight? Rosberg wasn't lucky to win that championship. There was a lot of talk. I don't know why we've been talking a lot about Rosberg on Twitter, because I guess because he was on at the weekend.
He was on at Sky, wasn't he?
Don't seem to respect the fact that he's won a championship, and
I think maybe the lack of respect, or the downside of the respect, was he won it, but then didn't want to defend it. And I think that's one of the things. It's like, for me, and I understand that, and I understand that he got what he wanted. He got the championship. He beat the person who he really wanted to beat, who he got a disliking to, and he got it. And I get that. But to me, the terminology I would use is like with wrestling, or boxing. You don't win the championship in wrestling and go, yeah, I don't want that anymore. You defend it until you lose it, or you defend your boxing title until you lose it, and that's one of the things that I found quite.
He'll never be remembered as a great because of that. He'll just be remembered as someone who won a championship.
I think he will be remembered as someone he was the only person to dethrone Lewis Hamilton for one season, and I think that will be his. And unfortunately for him, that will be it.
Yeah, but maybe that was it. Maybe he just thought, you know what, I don't want to do this again. I've got a family. Look what happened to Grosjean last year. Like, he was nearly up in literally, wasn't he? So anyway, that was it.
He's not doing great on IndyCar either, Grosjean. I watched it. So the drivers voter of the drivers. The vote of the driver, the person who won driver of the day, fucking hell, I'll get there in the end, was Perez, who job after Hamilton, Bottas, and Verstappen all pitted was to slow up Hamilton until Verstappen could catch up and then overtake. Is that what they think of? Is that what they're going as what Perez's role is?
I think that was just this race, because he was making his tyres last, wasn't he? Really, really well. He did like 50 odd laps on that.
He did. He was on there a while.
And I think they've just sort of thought Perez isn't going to, in this particular race, he's going to finish fourth, whether or not we box him now or in 10 minutes' time.
It's interesting because I would. It was interesting for me to see that, and he got voted driver of the day, and I don't know how. Personally,
no, I don't. He started fourth. He finished fourth.
Yeah, it's like
okay, it wasn't big, was it?
But Hamilton overtook him quite easily before he even went in for a pit. Huh?
He thought he was lapping him, didn't he?
Yeah, he was. I
think Hamilton went on the radio and said, "Why were there no blue flags?" And he was like, "No, you were racing him. You weren't lapping
him." Nothing else really happened in the race apart from that. There was a few bits and pieces. Near the end, Max and Bottas both pitted to set faster tyres to try and to get that extra point for the quickest lap of the race. Max did get fastest and was awarded it until about 5 minutes later when it got deleted for track limits, and Bottas did it in a 1:19.865 for the race. I remember looking at one point and I think it was Verstappen was like 25. No, Bottas was 30-something seconds behind Verstappen. And I went, what happened here then?
Exactly, that's it. But can we? The other thing I wanted to touch on the race was Mazepin again.
He's on my list to talk about as well.
Yeah, nearly taking the front off of Perez's car when he was being lapped. Like, I think that was, well, we'll come on to Mazepin then, but also Mick Schumacher again finishing.
Yeah, he's on the list as well. So yeah, let's get into. We'll get into Riccardo in a second, but let's get into Mazepin. I put here nearly causes a crash with Perez. He got lapped twice, I think, if I remember correctly, as well, by Hamilton. He was 1 minute behind. I think it was Hamilton or the driver in front of him.
It was a minute. I think it was Schumacher. So
Mick Schumacher also lapped him.
Yeah, so Mazepin, Latifi, and Schumacher were all lapped twice, but I think as part of that, Mazepin still finished a minute behind Mick Schumacher.
Okay, so
again, we're talking about Bottas and Hamilton in the same car. How can you?
So,
I don't get it.
question is for you, and we've discussed about Mazepin. We've had some jokes about him. Mazepin, which he hasn't been doing anymore. He's nearly crashed people, but he hasn't done the spin. We've also tried to be serious about what he can do to try and maybe improve his reputation of what he's ruined, to try and get back to maybe some sort of normality where people don't jump on down his throat every 3 seconds. Where does it get to a point now where a driver who's that far behind, who, I'm going to be honest, and this is going to be a controversial thing to say, but I'm going to be honest. I did hope at the start of this season that Mazepin would not be shit. I really did hope that he would really sort of do the driving for the talking. But where does it get to a point where Haas have to go, right, money's good and we need the money, but, or where does it get to a point where FIA get involved and try it? Huh?
And so do we need the money that much? Because I was just looking, he did two seasons in Formula 2, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously did all right in that. But there's only a small number of drivers that only do 1 or 2 seasons in Formula 2 and then come straight up. I think when the first one of the season, we were talking about Verstappen, and he went from like Formula 3, didn't he, or something? It was ridiculous.
Yuki Tsunoda's done 1 season in FP3, 1 season in FP2, and he's gone straight into the AlphaTauri for this season.
And look at how he's doing.
Exactly.
He's not there because he's wandered in with a bag full of cash. I can't see a benefit of keeping him other than developing the car, and that's after 3 races. If I was Steiner and Gene Haas, from watching Drive to Survive, he must be looking at that thinking, we look like a bunch of clowns again, because he's doing nothing for them from a racing point of view, from a brand point of view.
Hold on, we got to do the proper quote. They've gone from looking like rot stars to complete wankers. There you go. Good old Drive to Survive. Fucking greatest quote that's on there, by the way.
Even more so, I think I tweeted at the weekend that he wished they looked like wankers now.
Yeah, you did. And you also tweeted, how much would it take for you to drive that Formula 1 car as well? And I think I tweeted at you going, probably the same as what Mazepin's paying.
But is that not what it's come to? If you do a season there and rock up with 100 million or whatever it takes, I don't know, it's probably not that much, and go, well, can I have a seat? There will be a bit of, obviously, I'm in an hour, and not literally I couldn't do it, but can anyone do it if you've got enough money? Is that because what I think this is doing? This is Mazepin's obviously a racing driver, but he's not good enough for Formula 1 yet. He's got in a Formula 1 seat, and I think it makes a bit of a mockery of it because everyone knows that he is there because he's paying.
Okay, then question for
especially when you.
Question for you: will the FIA step in? Do you think Haas will? Because Callum Ilott did testing in the AlphaTauri, in the Alfa Romeo over the weekend, and apparently got a lot of praise from a lot of people with how quick he was in that car as well. Do you think it gets to a point where Haas turn around to Ferrari and go, look, we need Callum because he's got the pace and he's got something that we need, but we need the money. Is there a way of you giving us money or giving us more parts for the car that can develop it into something that we can do? They need to find, I think, as much as I want Mazepin to do well, not do well, I don't really care how he does, to be honest. He's not affecting me, but
there's only 20 drivers. Like, you want to see the best there. That's what it comes down to.
It does.
If he's good enough, if he's fast enough, he's good enough. That's what they always say, isn't it? But he's not fast enough, and he's very, very slow. You can't look at it and go, yeah, in the next 2 years he's going to find 4 seconds a lap. Even in another car, if you put him in a Mercedes, he's not going to do well. I just think there's better drivers who deserve more. Again, you say Callum Ilott, you've got Schwartzman, you've got Guan Yu Zhou, Luca Giotto, any of them, even Jack Aitken, give him a run out. But
he did all right when he was in that Williams for when he replaced Russell for that race last season. Yeah,
I don't think the FIA was second. I think because you've got the driving license points, haven't you? So if he does start doing things and they tot up, then he would naturally just get a ban, which Hamilton nearly got last year for the sort of driving the bit in Russia. I think he got some points for that, and a few other stupid things. So I don't think the FIA will step in, but I think at some point, Gene Haas or Ferrari will go, what are we actually getting from this?
Yeah, we're not gaining anything. We need to sort it out. Couple more.
Mate, you or I would not be doing any worse than him in that car. Now, whether or not we ever finish a race, we would still have zero. I guarantee we'd have zero.
I think my impatient levels, because going around 60 times, I'll be like, yeah. But if I'm start getting lapped, I'll start pissing people off. That would be my issue. I'll start annoying people. I'll be like, oh, Hamilton, okay, you go through. Oh, Max a second. Oh no, wrong direction. That'll be that's how much of a dick I'll be. There's a few bits and pieces, highs and lows from the race I just want to talk about. Riccardo fixing some sort of thing. Apparently, he had a meeting with Zach Brown and his mechanic after qualifying. Basically, Zach Brown has apparently turned around to Riccardo and goes, "Look, you've got podiums. It's not a confidence issue. It's not the car issue. You need to find that inner self to do it. We've got full trust in you. You are here for as long as we want you to be here, and we want you here for a long time. But you need to do that." And apparently they had a really good chat and got it sorted, which then got him from P16 to P9, which was good for him. Mick overtook Latifi. He had his first overtake in Formula One, which was good for him. Mazepin, I've got. And the downside as well was for Sainz. Personally, myself as well. He started in P5, but he finished the race in P11. At one point, he was having a battle with Norris, but seemed to drop down the pile a bit near the end. But let's go through the top 10. Was Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, Perez, Norris, Leclerc, Ocon, Alonso, who had a really good race for himself, Ricciardo, and Gasly. Race predictions. Shall we go through them? What you predicted to what your score was. Niall predicted Hamilton first, Bottas second, Verstappen third. You were nearly got 3 out of 3 for that if you swapped your second and third around.
I got laughed at for even considering
You
Bottas
did.
being.
You did, and I give utmost. I was very shocked that he even did it. Connor went for Hamilton, Verstappen, Norris. I did the same thing. Me and Connor both got 2 points for that. For it. Let's go into Spain now. The history of Spain. The person who has won the most at the Spanish Grand Prix is Michael Schumacher, not Mick, Michael, who has won it 6 times in his career. Second behind him is Lewis Hamilton, who's won it 5 times. And the next below him, who's won it 3 times, is Alan Prost, Mika Hakkinen, Nigel Mansell, and Jackie Stewart. Lewis Hamilton has won at this track in 2014, 2017, 18, 19, and 20. He could win it 5 years in a row and equal Michael Schumacher's record on here. One last thing on the predictions before we get into our predictions for this weekend's Spanish Grand Prix. As I said at the beginning, we did something a little bit different. So on my TikTok, I wanted to test something out. And what I did was I put the names up of the people that we voted by you guys at home, of who we thought would be the surprise of the race. And we put a poll on TikTok, and we put a poll on Twitter. On TikTok, we got 40 plus votes, which is a lot more than we got. And on Twitter, we got about 20. So what we're going to be doing is we're still going to do it on both platforms for the time being, but there might be a point where we just solely do it on TikTok because we're getting a little bit more action there. So don't forget, down below in the description is a link to my TikTok, which is basically the Gobcasters TikTok that I just post all the Gobcast stuff on there. So go give me a follow, go and you will get a notification for when we do stuff. So before we did the race, Niall predicted Esteban Ocon, who, by the way, can we just point out, finished 7th in the race. Antonio Giovinazzi, I can't remember where he finished, down below. And Sainz, Connor did Giovinazzi, I did Sainz. And basically, this was awarded for an extra point. The point scoring before the votes were casted was Connor was on -1 beforehand. He's now on 2. I am now on 10, and Niall was on 9 going into this predictions. On TikTok, Sainz got 31% of the vote, with Ocon getting 69. I'm so childish. And on Twitter, Ocon got 42% of the vote, with Sainz getting 37 and Antonio Giovinazzi getting 21%, which means that Niall gets an additional point, which now makes it 10 to Niall, 2 to Connor, and 10 to me, which is getting rather juicy now.
I think Ocon should have just genuinely. I guess because they're driver of the day, don't they? He was driver of the weekend with a 6th, like you just said, for that Alpine, getting that up to 6th and finishing 7th with it.
Ridiculous.
That was a brilliant weekend for them.
It was either going to be, for me, it was either between him or Riccardo. That would have been driver of the day because he got himself from P9 all the way up. Right. I've also spoken to Connor today. I have texted him, and he has told me his predictions for the race and for qualifying before we get into it. So it's completely pissing down outside. Anyway, just hear it completely raining behind me. So what I'm going to do is Connor has gone for, in qualifying, 3rd Bottas, 2nd Verstappen, and 3rd first Hamilton. I think he's jumped aboard your train of Bottas. So
you should have a point deducted if Bottas finishes gets 3rd, because that was my exact prediction as well. As much as I want to see him up there, Bottas, Max, and Hamilton again.
So are you going for qualifying Bottas, Verstappen, Hamilton?
Yeah, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. It's going to get boring at this time, isn't it?
I'm going to go for Verstappen 1st, 2nd. I can't bet against him. I was about to bet Bottas. Hamilton. And because I'm going to be quite boring, I'm going Perez. I'm going to do something a bit different. This is when I know I'm going to start losing, because when everyone starts doing the same thing, I then go for complete surprises. Like, I'm going to be different. I'm going to try. So that's what I'm going to go for. Race-wise, bit of a shock here for Connor. He's gone for Hamilton to win it.
If you say Bottas now, I'm going to be sick.
No. Verstappen.
Has he got Bottas? Yeah.
And 3rd, he's gone for Norris.
Fair enough. Fine.
He's going for. By the way, you won't have a text. You won't have a group chat message later from Niall, Connor. Yeah. Niall, go to you. Who are you going for 3rd?
I'm going to have to go Bottas.
2nd,
Max.
1st,
and Lewis.
I'm going.
I really want Bottas. I really want the Mercedes 1-2s again, and to come back. As much as it's good having a title, I think that it will start to come, but you just can't see past it, can you?
See, I went for something quite controversial, but I don't know whether to stick with it. So my idea, I'm saying idea because I'm not confirming it yet, because I know I'll change my mind and say, is I'm going currently 1st Hamilton, 2nd Perez, 3rd Verstappen. But I don't think Perez will get there yet. I just can't see him getting there yet. And I can't see Norris being up there at the moment.
For those things to happen, you've got to have. So you've got something serious has got to happen to Valtteri, hasn't it?
Exactly.
That's the thing.
And that's the thing. And Spain, don't think he's ever won in Spain. Not to my seeing here, what I can see so
I
far.
don't know. Well, Lewis won them all, hasn't he, while he's been
Yeah.
there?
Second, the people that have won it twice. Another one who is currently on the F1 grid. That isn't. Hold on.
Must be Alonso. Has he won it twice?
Yeah. All right. So on my list, the only other person on the grid that isn't Lewis Hamilton that has won currently at Spain is Fernando Alonso. Be a fucking shock if he got there. I'm gonna go with Perez third. I don't think. Yeah, I'm going Hamilton. I'm going the same as my qualifying swap. So first I've gone Hamilton. Second I've gone Verstappen. Third I've gone Perez. I can't see Bottas. I don't know. Maybe I just don't want to put him in. Maybe it's just got to a point I just don't want to put him in. I've gone for that. I've done so. Also, surprise of the Grand Prix. Connor has sent me his. Connor, do you think before you type, by the way, Connor? Because you've just so he's gone for George Russell. Right, and
any reason?
No, he just put surprise Russell.
Because for Russell to be a surprise, so if he gets into Q1, so he gets into Q2 regularly
He always
now.
gets into Q2, so that's not a surprise. It's racing wise I'm going for. I can't see him going above 15th.
He's got to finish 15th or above.
He's got to get a point. I think he's got to get top 10 to get a point.
He's got to win it for Connor to get this point.
By the way, I will say this now. If Russell wins it, Connor, you will get all your points back. All of them. You will get 8 points. You get 10 points, actually. I'll give you 10 points if Russell wins the Spanish Grand Prix. Just saying. I'm going to go for mine because I wrote mine down earlier. I've gone for Daniel Ricciardo. I think he's going to be someone who I feel like has sort of lacking behind. And I feel like the back-to-back race is going to help him because he did extremely well in the race in Portugal, and I feel like he's now gaining that confidence that he needs to go forward. So Niall,
I'm going to stick with the Spanish theme, and I'm going to go for a surprise. I'm just thinking around what you've got to define as a surprise. I'm either going to go for Alonso or Carlos Sainz. I think for Alonso to be a surprise again, it's got to almost be finishing
top 10, top 5.
Yeah,
top 5, I would say.
Same with Perez. I told you I always get Perez and Sainz mixed up. I'm going to go with Carlos Sainz.
Oh, you're going for... I wrote down Alonso. I thought you were going to end up with that. All right, okay. So you're going for Sainz.
Where did he finish in the week? So he finished 11th.
11th in Portugal, weekend. Yeah. He will be looking for redemption after having a great qualifying and not a great race.
He was 8th in Bahrain, 11th in Portugal, and where was he? 5th at Imola. So yeah, if he gets 4th, I think that would be a good one. But yeah, they're mine anyway.
Yeah, so we're going to go with that. So yes, so let's go through them before we go any further. In qualifying, Connor has gone for Hamilton, Pole, Verstappen, and then Bottas. Niall has gone for Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. I have gone for Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez. For the race, Connor has gone for Hamilton, Verstappen, Norris. Niall has gone for Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. And I have gone for Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez. The surprises of the race, Connor has gone for Russell. Niall has gone for Sainz. And I have gone for the big down under, the big Australian, Daniel Ricciardo, Ricciardo for the race. So, yes, that's it. Thank you, Niall, ever so much for coming on. We will see you guys next week without Connor again, as he won't be here, but he will be back the week after, hopefully, to do that. So we will be recapping the Spanish Grand Prix. That will be the main one. I think, how much is the gap between the next race and the race after that? Let's have a look. Where's my F1 app? Where are you? There you are.
There you go. I've got it here. So we've got 2 weeks. It's then Monaco on the 20th of May.
So yes, so what we'll do is we will just be reviewing next week the Spanish Grand Prix. The week after, we will be doing our build up to the Monaco, which is one of the big one. We do expect people to fall asleep during this weekend's race, as this is probably one of the most boringest tracks there is going. And also Monaco, it's just beautiful to look at. Really, the race is all right. It's beautiful to look at. So we will see you guys next week, where we'll be reviewing the Spanish Grand Prix, and we will be building up to the Monaco Grand Prix. But thank you guys ever so much. I hope you guys enjoy the little videos that we do now when we tweet out or when we do on Instagram. Just a little build up to what we do on here. It seems to be working. More people are watching our content now. More people are listening. So thank you guys ever so much. Please do go and click that subscribe button. Go and smash that like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're listening to this, please go and give it a like. And we will see you guys very, very soon. And bye.
See ya.